Hello and welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Kay Murray and Shaka Hislop here in the studio, kicking things off with the news of Xabi Alonso, expected to be coming in at Real Madrid to take charge of this summer's Club World Cup and Real Madrid's duties there, just 2 weeks before the kick-off to the Club World Cup. That would be his first challenge in just a couple of weeks to get this side ready for this, because as we know, Real Madrid are expected to play every competition and win every competition that they feature in. Let's welcome in Frank Leboeuf and Jan Agerfiotov to talk more about this. And I will start with you, Jan, because we all know what a wonderful job Xabi Alonso has done at Bayer Leverkusen. But Real Madrid is a completely different beast. How do you see things going for him, knowing that this could be his first tournament that he'll be expected to do well in and only have a few weeks to get to grips with his side?
Well, he came to Leverkusen as an inexperienced coach, and he's had a success there, winning the Bundesliga last season, of course. And he's coming to Real Madrid with lack of experience, because he's a young man, but somehow, because he was a great player, we think he's been around forever. So he has in Leverkusen, of course, is more calm. It's not the pressure. They are a challenger. He's coming to Real Madrid and have to do it from day one. Having said that, when you've seen how he's worked in Leverkusen, and as you know him as a player, when you meet him, he's a guy that can do big things for Real Madrid. They've done that before. They did that with Zinedine Zidane. Yes, a different personality, but at that time as well, that was a success. So I have no worry for Alonso. He knows what he's doing, and I think this is a wonderful signing of Real Madrid.
What kind of personality does he have then, Jan, coming into a club like this? Obviously, it's a club he knows well.
Yes, he knows every club. I mean, he could go to Liverpool and he could go to Bayern Munich, and he's been there before. So respected all over the football world. But what I of course didn't play against him. But when I've done interviews with him, when you are around him, he has this calmness. He has this thing that when you talk to him, he's there. He sees you. I've spoken to players and players who work with him in Leverkusen, and he's the same as a leader there. Having said that, there is big demands. This is a world-class player going into coaching, and sometimes for former players, it's hard because you have the same demands on your players that you used to have on yourself as a football player. And I guess that's some of the challenges, but he has coped with that well at Leverkusen, and he goes from there as a folk hero, and he goes to Real Madrid being saluted by the fans of Leverkusen, and I'm not talking about Trent now not getting it.
We will be talking about Trent soon, don't you worry about that, of course. But let me talk to you, Frank, about how he's going to deal with Kylian Mbappe and what his first meeting should be like with this player, because we've seen Mbappe in the past. He's butted heads before with Luis Enrique at PSG. He's done the same with Didier Deschamps with the France national team. How should Xabi Alonso approach this relationship with this new player for him?
It's complicated because, as you mentioned, some others have tried to change him, and we are talking about Luis Enrique, we are talking about Carlo Ancelotti, two of the best coaches in the world, and the message didn't pass through, so it's why I say it's complicated. But somehow somebody will have to make sure they will get it, otherwise he will disappoint everybody. I mean, when Mbappe signed for Real Madrid, we knew that he will have to change his way of thinking the football, and that's not only about statistics, not only about scoring goals, because he scores goal, and we don't complain about that, but we complain about the behavior. We complain about the fact that he doesn't know how to help his teammates, and Xabi Alonso is maybe the one who can persuade him to do so. He will have to do so. They will have to change something, otherwise Real Madrid won't be successful. Again, like this season, where we see the team is cut in half, and as him, Vinicius Junior will have to do the job as well, and maybe some others. Maybe Jude Bellingham will have to be more involved in the middle of the park for other things. So, but it's going to be complicated. It's going to be a hard discussion with Kylian Mbappe. But again, the message has to go through.
How do you think that'll go, Shaka?
I'm not sure. I'm like Frank in that you're just not quite sure what to expect from Kylian Mbappe and the role that he plays. Now, listen, the usual measure of thumb for strikers is how many goals you scored. Strikers generally aren't asked about their defensive duties, what they contribute in that regard. And you can't question that Kylian Mbappe scores goals. That's there for all to see. But just in terms of winning silverware at the highest level, that's the ask here. And now there are ways, I guess, you can try to minimize that damage. And the World Cup final, after Deschamps took off Giroud, he kind of moved Mbappe closer to the middle, and that took away any need for him to play defense, certainly in the wide areas. But you didn't see that over the course of a longer season, even with Luis Enrique at PSG. Even after they sold on Lionel Messi and Neymar, and Kylian Mbappe was the lone big star in, I'll say in inverted commas, and the team built around him not tracking back cost PSG at the highest level. And you just wonder if that's going to be the case again for Real Madrid. And now, while there's a lot of discussion around Xabi Alonso, his preferred formation, how that's going to work, whichever way you look at it, you've got two players in Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. who have similar preferences in drifting out on the left, and who similarly defending, as all strikers are, isn't second nature to them. So how do you kind of cater to that? That's a big ask, one that Carlo Ancelotti couldn't get right, one that Xabi Alonso is going to be expected to address and address from day one.
Yeah, let's take a look at a possible formation, Jan, if we can, with Xabi Alonso. We know with Leverkusen he's like to play a 3-5-2. We've put one together here with Trent Alexander-Arnold there in the wing-back position. Obviously, you can make comparisons under Xabi Alonso here to Jeremy Frimpong, but the two of them have different styles. It's different profiles for the role that they play. So how will Xabi adapt to Trent, and how will Trent adapt to Xabi if it were to be like this?
Yeah, and I guess that is a big challenge for Alonso. That's why I pointed out that he's coming there with not the biggest experience as a coach. For Trent Alexander-Arnold, he has to adjust as well. With Alonso, he can play a 3-5-2. Sometimes that could go into a 5-3-2. And there's also talking about will he go on a I would say a flat quote 4-4-2. So there are different things, but I think that Alonso needs to adapt quick. He knows that. In Leverkusen, he took over a team that were in the bottom of the league. It's a good time to come to Madrid. But if you compare these two players with Frimpong, he has more the short passer. He's more the dribbler. He's a 1-against-1. But as you can see, in terms of goals and assists, he is the real deal. But he's not the quarterback kind of player that Alexander-Arnold was. So you gain something and you lose something. But I think that Frimpong, I just spoke before I came on a local journalist in Leverkusen, and he said that is more or less clear. So let's see if my sources this time are good. He got a clause of 35 to 40 million euro, and it seems that he will be on his way.
Okay, well, let's talk about how you think that he'll have to adapt here, Frank, talking to a defender that you played as, when it does come to getting this backline right.
Well, depending on the personnel that he had and the individual that he's going to be using, and but you know that you need to reinforce. But you can talk about all the lines, because the midfielders as well have been quite absent at some point, and you don't replace some players like Kroos, and you don't replace at the back players like Cavaral. So those players. Well, for Cavaral, in that case, will be back, so maybe not at his best. We're going to wish him the best, but we don't know. So it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a squad that you have to use. We put a lineup like that, but that could change. But definitely, they would have to work harder. They would have to talk to each other. They would have to be more involved. I mean, the strengths of Real Madrid lately, because they played with Ronaldo at front, and Ronaldo wasn't defending, but they were so strong in the middle of the park, they were so strong defensively, they had a mentality of winners, and they lost that this season. So Xabi Alonso will have to also work psychologically to make sure those players, they're ready to change the result, to change a bad game to a crazy ending with a win like they used to do for like 3-4 years with Carlo Ancelotti. That's the spirit and the core of Real Madrid. They will have to go back to that. And it starts with how you work with the defense, how you make it solid. I mean, they are the best goalkeeper in the world. He saved them, and Xhaka can talk about that. He saved him so many times, almost every game, but he wasn't enough. And he cannot be not enough with a goalkeeper like that. So you have to change something. And first for me is the mentality of how to defend well.
So working as a team, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Xabi Alonso, is this going to be enough to take that title back from Barcelona?
I'm not sure. And of course, Barcelona will have their own say in that. Let me just say, and the more I've seen Madrid play over the course of this season, the more I recognise the importance of Dani Carvajal. Now, when Carvajal went down injured, I hold my hands up. Frank said this is a huge blow to. I'm like, he's a right back, Frank. How important could he be to Real Madrid's successes? But the more you see Real Madrid play, and then when we put that full screen up as to what maybe Xabi Alonso's starting 11, if they played a back three, come back five, and you look at the importance of those wing backs, as we had it was Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right, Mendy on the left. Even if Frimpong comes in, now there's a lot of work that's going to be asked of both those wing backs. As again, whether it's Trent Alexander-Arnold or Frimpong or Mendy on the other side. But the thing that jumps out at me with all three of those is while they're great going forward, while they cover an awful lot of ground, between the three of them, I don't think they're the best defensively. Which brings me right back to Dani Carvajal. And again, why as the season played out, more and more I understood Frank's initial concern with when Carvajal went down, how this would impact Real Madrid. You need somebody who has those legs, granted, but you need somebody who can defend. And I'm not sure any of those three options on both sides fits that bill.
Yeah, a lot of talk about what's coming up in the football world and the weekend that was on the Gab and Joel show. Make sure to check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Drops on Mondays and Thursdays. The latest one is available. Here is the Brazil president, Ednaldo Rodrigues, on Carlo Ancelotti coming in. Just a reminder of what he said. Bringing Carlo Ancelotti to lead Brazil is more than a strategic move. It's a statement to the world that we are determined to regain the top spot on the podium. He is the greatest coach in history, and now he is in charge of the greatest national team on the planet. Together, we will write glorious new chapters for Brazilian soccer. Well, we must welcome in our Brazilian correspondent, Gustavo Hoffman, because it looks as though everything's okay again, Gustavo. Yeah. Usually we bring you on when things are looking really bad. Now you're getting the best coach in the world. Brazil are going to win the World Cup, aren't they?
Hello, Kay. Hello, everybody. Almost 2 years coming here to ESPN FC talking about Carlo Ancelotti. He's gone, he's back, he's gone, he's back, and now he will be finally in Brazil. He's still here in Madrid working with Real Madrid. I was at the press conference today in Valdebebas. He got a little bit angry with so many questions about it. There was a lack of harmony between him and CBF about the timing of the announcement. But, well, he's going to be the manager of Brazil. For me, he's the best option. He's one of the best managers in the world, one of the best managers in the history, in my opinion. Brazil needs a manager like him. Brazil needs someone with his size in football. You know, I'm sure that, as I said, it's the best option for the Brazilian national team now.
Are the Brazilian fans happy and okay with Carlo Ancelotti coming in, Gustavo?
Well, the fan base in Brazil is really in love with Carlo Ancelotti. It's hard to say that normally many people, some people will like, some people will not like the option from CBF, but now everybody loves the option that CBF decided to take with Carlo Ancelotti. And for the players, I know, for example, by sources, Vinicius Junior is very happy with the decision to bring in Carlo Ancelotti, because it was with Carlo Ancelotti that Vinicius became the best player in the world, that he won the best from FIFA. So, and also a very important matter, Carlo Carlo Ancelotti has a very good relationship with the Brazilian players, and not only now. I can quote Kaká, for example. One of the best friends of Carlo Ancelotti is Paulo Roberto Falcão, who has already been manager of Brazil, ex-Brazilian football player also. So he has a very good relationship with Brazil, with the football of Brazil.
Frank, what was that noise? Did you just fall off your chair or something?
Yes. When I heard that Vinicius Junior was the best player in the world, I almost fell off, so I tried to adjust. No, it's just a joke because, with the season that he had with his national team and also with Real Madrid, this player needs to adjust, and he had Carlo Ancelotti next to him and he didn't do the job. So, everybody would have to work hard. You know that I'm against, a foreign coach in a foreign country taking charge. I'm not that enthusiastic about that. But I know that Carlo Ancelotti can do the job, and because we need the best Brazil to cope with other teams, because without Brazil, a World Cup is not, without good Brazil, a World Cup is not a real World Cup. So I want to wish Ancelotti the best, and for the Brazilian fan the best. But some players like Vinicius Junior, for example, will have to work harder. And giving that example wasn't, I'm sorry, the best example of somebody being successful under Carlo Ancelotti.
Vinny's really done so well under Carlo Ancelotti, though, hasn't he? Vinny's really come to the stage under Carlo Ancelotti. Maybe not this season, it's not been their season.
No, it's not been a good season. But I thought Carlo Ancelotti certainly got the best out of Vinicius Junior. If you just look at not this season that's just about to end, but last season and the successes and how Vinicius Junior matured in that position at Real Madrid. Many wondered whether he could get the best out of him, and then all of a sudden he stepped up. And as I say, last season, I thought he was simply outstanding. I know he didn't win the Ballon d'Or, but it really was a coin toss as to whether he would or wouldn't. The thing is, and I'm with Frank in that world football needs a good Brazil. The World Cup needs a good Brazil, one that we haven't seen for quite some time. If you look at a prospective Brazil 11, it's got the makings of a very good team. And I say this totally aware that Brazil just, Gustavo wouldn't like me reminding him, just got convincingly beaten by Argentina. But you've got a spine where you could have Alisson in goal, you could have Marquinhos, Gabriel as his centre-backs, you could have Joe Linton and Guimarães as your midfielders. You could have a front three of Rodrygo, Rafinha, and Vinicius Junior. As a spine, that's as good as it gets. And again, when you look at that, you just feel you needed a manager who could get the best out of that team. Yes, there are other pieces to the puzzle that he'll have to work out, but there's no questioning that this Brazil team can compete at the highest level of international football. The one big ask is who's going to be kind of the emotional, psychological leader in the way that Neymar was in years gone by. Who steps up to fill that role? Rafinha has done it for Barcelona. Vinicius has done it for Real Madrid. Who does it for Brazil?
He will be using Rodrygo a lot more for Brazil, right, Gustavo, than he has been for Real Madrid lately.
Yeah, well, I think that the biggest challenge for Carlo Ancelotti now is to make the Brazilian squad a very good team, because individually, as Shaka was saying, we have so many good talents. With Rodrygo, let's see what happens with Rodrygo, because he's mad about his situation in Real Madrid. He wants to play in the position where he thinks that he plays at his best, and it is in the left flank where Vinicius plays. So we have to understand what is going to happen to Rodrygo in the Brazilian national team and also in Real Madrid. He wants to see how it's going to be with Xabi Alonso. He wants to see how it's going to be in the national team, because Rodrygo now is living a very bad mood in Real Madrid, and today, for example, he left the training earlier with some muscle injury. He's out of the match tomorrow. So Rodrygo now is living really a bad moment now.
What's going to happen with him in his club career, Gustavo? Because obviously you mentioned that's happened today. He's not happy with his current situation at Real Madrid, but there's a new coach coming in but there's a lot of interest in this player from Premier League clubs too.
It depends, Kay, on how Xabi Alonso will work with this situation, because Rodrygo doesn't want to leave Real Madrid, but he wants to play in his position, and that's a problem because in his position, Vinicius is ahead of him in Real Madrid and in the national team.
It's interesting. I will, as Gustavo was saying, I think it's wise from him to wait to a new coach gets in, because what you will get with Alonso, he will try to give everybody a fresh start. Of course, there will be players who have more credit. It's not the first thing you do to put Vinny on the bench if Alonso comes in. But you will also find a coach now in Alonso that will come in with an idea how we want to play, and he will start there. And then the consequence will be the type of players that he has available for his system. Yes, maybe Ancelotti has done that as well, but I think you will see it even more clearer with a fresher, with a younger coach that wants to get his idea out. And mind you, it's a good timing to take over Real Madrid, the status they have now, right now as a club. So I would have stayed on, and the transfer window lasts a bit, and then he can go to Swindon Town and take it back to the Premier League.
Frank, you put your hand up.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, we saw the system that Xabi Alonso wants to put down, and it's only two at front. And we already talked about the problem that we have with some players on the right side, with Valverde, Trent Alexander-Arnold, maybe Frimpong, I don't know. But I think there is no room for Rodrygo in the first 11. And we already said that last season. And that guy has to be aware of that even with Xabi Alonso, I don't see, because of the credit that Ian was mentioning, that he will have a chance to be in the first 11 unless one of those two players, Mbappe or Vinicius Junior, will be injured. That's so sad because the guy is so talented, but he plays for a club where, credit, statistics comes first. And it's going to be hard. And imagine you say, you're Xabi Alonso, you start and you say, okay, I put Rodrygo and Vinicius Junior and I put Mbappe on the bench. You already have one problem. You already have a problem. And do the same with Vinicius Junior, you will have a problem. And you know that with Rodrygo, you won't have a problem because everybody will agree with you. That's the concern that I have. And for me, I would be in Rodrygo's shoes. I say, bye-bye. I want to play football. I have tons of clubs who love to see me play in the first 11.
Okay, we'll end that one there then. Let's get to Florian Wirtz, shall we? Because last week there were very strong reports that Bayern Munich was the chosen next destination for this player, and that the two sides had reached an agreement and all was looking rosy on that side of things. However, Manchester City are said to be still trying to convince this player to come to the northwest of England. So Jan Agerfjordtoft, along with Frank Leboeuf. Jan, what's going on?
Well, a quick explainer. This is Florian Wirtz. Everybody loves German football. We know that this is the real deal. There is a lot of clubs want him. We've been talking about Real Madrid following Alonso, Manchester City replacing De Bruyne, and then Bayern Munich, of course, who have to look for the best players in the Bundesliga. So his dad has had a close relationship to Uli Hoeneß, who is still the man in charge of Bayern Munich, even as he doesn't have that title. So they've been kind of discussing the future of Florian Wirtz. So everybody thought that he could go there. Then the board of Bayer Leverkusen said yes, he is for sale, but it costs 150 million euro. So this is Bayer, the group of Bayer Leverkusen, all your creams and everything that you have in your toilet map. That's from Bayer Leverkusen. So they said, so this is the guy. This is the guy, you can have him for 150 million. And everybody thought that he was going to Bayern. But mind you, Bayern, where do they have the problem? They have two problems. They have a problem in defense and they have a problem with money. So they said, yeah, we can maybe take him from 100 million euro this summer or wait till 2026, where he have 1 year left of his contract and the price will reduce. So what is Manchester City doing? Well, they didn't offer De Bruyne a new contract and they want to replace him. So this morning, the Wirtz, Team Wirtz, went to Manchester, talked to Manchester City, and I'm told that Pep is very involved in this project. This is the player they want, and they have also signaled that they are nearer to pay the 150 million euro now, as it stands. So they just arrived back in Germany. Decision time. Bayern Munich getting more and more nervous. Uli Hoeneß will probably ask Papa Fritz over for another sausage, because now they're getting worried that Manchester City could hijack this.
What do you think the likelihood is? Like, how would you apportion percentage, whatever way you want to say it, Frank? What do you think is most likely in this moment right now for Florian Wirtz's future?
I mean, I put myself in his shoes and I see how many players you have in Bayern Munich with Musiala coming back, Kane and all the attackers, Laura Sané and some others, and having Wirtz just behind Haaland and I forgot the Egyptian player, sorry, Marmoush. Sorry, that would be for me. Yes, that would be for me awesome. That would be the real catch for Manchester City, and a very good one.
I think just if I have to just say, Kay, I just want to say it's a very important point. It's a very important point that Frank is doing there, because I remember when the process about Erling Haaland going to Real Madrid or he's going to Manchester City, one of the major things for Team Haaland at that point was to come to a club that need him. Yes, he will go to Bayern and he will play there, but they have to find a new system. And they have Musiala already in that role, so they have to find a new system to get him in there. Fine, he can do that. Musiala and Wirtz will probably find a way to play. But at Manchester City, there is a role, there is a seat. This is where you're going to sit. This is where you're going to play. And I also think that the convincing eyes and ears and mouth of Pep Guardiola could play a role here, because wow, when Pep Guardiola, as one of the most successful coaches ever, is so desperate to get you, it's hard to say no.
What would you do, Shaka? Because we're talking about two of the biggest clubs in world football wanting this player right now.
But these things always come down to a personal choice. For Florian Wirtz, obviously knows Germany and German football, so Bayern is an easy step up in that regard, or does he want to kind of push his horizons a little further and take that, go to a league that he doesn't know? But to the point, and if I'm understanding Jan correctly, it may not be down to him or Team Wirtz. If Bayer Leverkusen decide we are only taking 150 million and nothing else, and it's coming now, according to Jan, one club can pay that, Manchester City. And if that therefore kind of takes that decision away from Florian Wirtz. The one good thing, when you're a player like Florian Wirtz, when you're as talented as he is, you know you're going to go to an incredible football club. Wherever you land, you will be competing for titles. So that is not as big a decision that most players have to make. You know, you kind of want to figure out where you fit, what's the project, will we be competing? You know, Florian Wirtz, wherever he goes, you're competing for titles, not only domestically, but in Europe. So at least there's that comfort in his making of the decision.
Yeah. What would it factor in at all, Jan, loyalty here to Leverkusen and thinking, okay, I might be leaving them without my services, but I'll be getting them a big payday?
Yeah, well, Shaka is right. I mean, it could be down to, okay, either you go to this club now for 150 or you stay another year. But you have also the other thing that goes into this is that Leverkusen doesn't want to take him to Bayern. That makes sense. I mean, yes, a lot of players in Germany, they find that they will go to Bayern Munich. You won't see that in England. You won't see that in Spain, going to the biggest rivals. But that is a tradition of that in Germany. But Leverkusen, of course, see themselves as a challenger. They won it last season. They are second this season. Next year, maybe them and Dortmund will be the new challengers. So they don't want to make Bayern Munich better. In terms of a payday, Kay, I think that Leverkusen know what kind of club they are. It's the same as my Eintracht Frankfurt. They know what kind of club they are. When someone comes in and pay you 80 million euro for Marmoush, in January, they sell him, although they know that could at the end cost them the Champions League place. And Leverkusen know that. That's the club we are. He has the contract till 2027. They tried to extend it to 2028. They didn't succeed in doing that. So Florian Wirtz can also think, I sit for one more year to kind of get my deal done there. But we know about injuries. Florian Wirtz had an injury. We know about the interest. Will Pep be at Manchester City in 1 year? Will Bayern Munich see that they can play with Musiala in that role alone? So timing is everything here. And but it's a great decision to make, I guess, when you have Pep calling you all the time.
Favourites coming into this game. And apparently, according to ESPN sources, Tottenham Hotspur are planning to parade the Europa League trophy if they win it, even though Manchester United have indicated they will not hold a major celebration if they do. They traditionally decided against these open-top parades for cup wins. Yad's already laughing at this. Is it dangerous to already plan a parade, Shaka? Or is it normal with a team like Tottenham Hotspur who needs something to celebrate, to just be ready in case?
Yeah, you know, I'm a little bit torn on this. And we had a conversation 2 days ago about, I think it was during extra time. The question was, do you prefer to win silverware and finish 16th or finish second with no silverware? And it comes down to who you are. So the more I think about this, the more I think, well, Manchester United, their standard isn't winning the Europa League. Their standard, granted, they've not won an awful lot for a few years themselves, but they're known for a whole lot more. Spurs have been barren of silverware for quite some time, so it takes on a slightly different context. I think it's also kind of blurred by the fact that these teams are 16th and 17th in the league or whatever it is. You know, so you're having a parade, yet you narrowly avoid relegation. You know, and while granted the two don't have anything to do with each other, it just feels so odd for both these teams. So again, I'm a little bit torn as to how I view this.
Would it be odd to have a parade for Spurs? Obviously, there's two different things. Is it odd to plan the parade? Would it be odd to have a parade, Frank, if they were to win this, considering where they finished in the table this season, or where they're going to finish in the table in the Premier League?
Yeah, 2 days ago, I was in the show and I mentioned that if you are, with all due respect, you know, a club who never won anything, we're not chasing for the title, and we're all every year fighting to not get relegated, and you win the Europa League because you won the FA Cup the year before, whatever it can be. I agree with the parade and everything. And Spurs, in that case, you know, didn't win anything for a while. Even if they were in the Champions League final, even if most of the years they fight for the title, they're not a club with silverware. So I can understand that, and I think they want to share it with the fans, and fans will be relieved to finally get something after so many years. And for Manchester United, it's another thing. I mean, if they were like 6 or 7 in the league and win the Europa League, they would have a right to parade for me. But being 16 or 17th, it's odd. And I can agree with Spurs, and I have no issue with that. But for Manchester United, I think it's right that they decided to not do it.
Yeah, and how do you feel? Because it is still silverware if they win it, that they would want to celebrate with their fans.
Yeah, but to make it even worse by Manchester United, they didn't do it. They shouldn't do a parade. They do a barbecue or something. I read that somewhere. So that was so that is a new thing. So if you win the Europa League, you'll have a barbecue. I mean, that is, everything. I must say, but Manchester
squashed in a parade and trying to get a good view.
But Manchester United. Just at the Manchester United, you feel everything is wrong. Even if they plan to win, they can't even plan what they're going to do if they win, and they haven't won nearly a game this season. And boys and girls, let's be honest. If you win a trophy, Please do your parade. There are players there that will never win a game. And that's not saying that because of it's Tottenham and Manchester United. They should have a parade. Tottenham should drive past Arsenal, who have that 2-season trophy from Arteta, and they should go in there and do a parade. And Manchester United, Manchester United is in a building stage. Of course they should celebrate their wins. They don't know what's happening next season. Of course they should do that. Come on, sorry, Jim Ratcliffe. They can't be that expensive with a bus, please, without a roof as well.
I like them driving past the Emirates and beeping the horn while they're there.
Yeah, should be the bus driver for Spurs.
Yeah.
For Spurs bus
I'm in.
Yeah. I'd be like, I'm taking right here.
All right, these guys will be answering your questions. Latest edition of Extra Time. Goodness knows how that's going to go. Hugely eventful when Frank and Jan are together. Check it out over on our YouTube channel. And make sure to be with us this weekend. Crystal Palace taking on Man City in the final of the FA Cup, Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We've got you covered on ESPN+. Hello and welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Jan and Frank are here.
The bus driver.
Yeah, Jan.
Oh, look at bus driver.
The Tottenham Hotspur bus driver. If they win the Europa League, Jan will be driving the bus. Jan will be
Yeah,
at
of course
the wheel.
they should. Yeah, of course they should.
Yes.
I mean,
Tottenham. He's been arguing with
I-
everybody.
Yeah, no, I just say Tottenham, this is a great plan for them. They should go to Arsenal and they should see Arteta standing there at Emirates and they should honk and they have a silver trophy. For Tottenham to cancel a parade, I mean, that is bizarre. I mean, how can you get up with that idea? And Manchester United having a barbecue, I think that you can't make that up. You can't make that up.
I love that he's got Mikel Arteta living at the Emirates. He'll just be there.
Waiting outside.
Yeah, he lives there. He lives there.
Waiting outside.
For the bus to go by. Okay, for everyone, as a United supporter, I selfishly want us in Europe for the recruitment pull, the financial boost, and the 0.01% trophy dream. But maybe this squad needs fewer games and more time to rebuild. What do you all think? Is Europe a distraction or not?
I'm going to go for not. I think big clubs inevitably, Manchester United, despite their current league position, is still a big club. I think the foundations of big clubs are to build squads to compete on every single level. I don't see how or why not being in Europe is more beneficial to a club like United.
That's a fair thought, isn't it, Frank, from a Manchester United fan, to just want the best for his club and to hopefully try and get there?
Yeah, and I agree with him, and I agree with Xhaka. I think all those clubs they need to be involved in Europe to make sure that they can attract players. But you have the reality of the everyday work, and what shows Manchester United doesn't really, how you say, make people deciding to come over if you are a very good player. Yeah, I don't think there is one very good player willing to come to Manchester United. And I say the same about Arsenal like 5-6 years ago, about Chelsea like 3 years ago, where you hesitate. And if you have a choice for other clubs, you will choose the other clubs, because Manchester United, as Xhaka said, is a big club because of the history. But in the present time, it's not. So it's complicated. You attract, but you don't attract the best of the best.
Jan, is Vincent Kompany now ready to take over Man City if Pep decides to go?
No. And I said before the season, I don't think Kompany will be ready to take on Bayern Munich because remember he was a sixth choice. But in respect to Kompany, he has calmed down the club and he's won the Bundesliga trophy. But the standard at Bayern Munich is not to win the domestic titles, it's to come as far as you can in the Champions League. Will he be a candidate? Probably. He will be a candidate. Now Alonso could be a candidate, but he went to Real Madrid. So Kompany will of course be up there, but I think that he is very happy with his job at Bayern Munich.
Okay. De Housen, Trent Alexander-Arnold make Madrid a contender for next season. If not, who else will you realistically sign? What do Madrid need? Yeah.
I don't think this is a matter of players. I think there is a balance in the team need to be sorted, and you have to have the two best players not at least run back. At the moment they are walking, and it reminds me a bit of the first Galacticos that was built up with all the great players in the Beckham era. They just forgot to get in some defenders. So I think that the main thing will be for Alonso to get the balance in the team, and I don't think that Arnold itself will make them a contender, but I think that Alonso can try to get that balance going, but he has to sort the problem with the two superstars who need to start acting like superstars and also be team players.
Frank, what do you think of Ligue 1's idea to have a 4-team playoff to determine the league winner and make it more competitive?
I was just told by our director today, Michael, about that I wasn't aware of it, that I thought about it. Well, that could be a good idea. I don't know if it shouldn't be a statement, it shouldn't be for forever, but yeah, that could be interesting, because it's true that Paris Saint-Germain are so better than the others, so superior than the others, that could create something more attractive. Clubs like Lens, like Marseille, Monaco, they try to compete. It happened sometimes with Montpellier in 2012, and I think with
Monaco.
Lille,
Monaco,
I think it was
2016?
Monaco. Thank you, Monaco, 2016. But it's more because Paris Saint-Germain weren't there. Because they weren't good enough. So yeah, it can be an idea. I don't know if it will please the purists of the Ligue 1, because they used to not having that kind of concept. But yeah, if you can attract the competition, better rights, TV rights, because that's a big concern right now. Yeah, I'm for it.
Should put Frank dancing at the beginning of every game to get some more viewers.
Okay.
Seems to work. Just don't let Craig watch it, all right? Jan's biggest Borough fan, at Middlesbrough Jan. Jan, thoughts on the fans booing Trent this weekend? Told you it was coming off.
Oh, where should I start? I was there. Where should I start? Let me start by saying that the Liverpool fans can feel whatever they want, period. Okay, they're up to them. I think it's embarrassing. I was there. I thought that this thing about Trent Alexander-Arnold was the thing that the Liverpool fans on social media kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I would never imagine that so many people would do it inside the stadium. I start filming and when he was getting on. And I was embarrassed. Okay, I would be the devil's advocate and I say, maybe you can do a signal when he gets on. Fair. I can give you that. And I get that. You don't want to lose him for free and everything. By booing him every time he gets the ball, it's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen. I have a great respect for Liverpool fans. I thought they are very knowledgeable. They're one of the best fans in the world. But that was our own goal. And I couldn't believe it that I was sitting there, that was happening around me.
Okay, there you go. That was Jan's thoughts.
Every word of that was spot on.
For Shaka.
Perfect, perfect, Jan. You ending it very well. The show.
Yes.
You didn't start very well, but you're ending it very well.
This is ending it really well. Are you ready? This is wonderful. For Shaka, this is Save Your Tooth Month in May. Do you still leave your tooth around the office like you did a couple of years ago?
I've got a permanent implant now, so I don't have to take it out and leave it anywhere.
I remember you forgot it one day, but because the camera has you this side, I think you got away with it.
Oh, somebody took a photo of it in the green room where we watch the games. Somebody took a photo of it and sent it in.
What, would you
Actually,
just leave it on the table?
It might be our producer today, Michael, who did that.
Did you just leave it on the table?
Yeah, I just forgot it.
You just...
I used to take it out when I was eating. So I was eating, I just forgot it.
What? Save Your Tooth Month?
But Kay, back in the early 80s, there was a Norwegian who played in Scottish football. He didn't have a long career there, but he was taken off a game, and he came into the dressing room, and he was so mad that he was taken off that he changed all the tooth that were lying around in the glasses. So when the players came in after the game, they couldn't find their teeth, so they put in the wrong tooth. 100% true story. 100% true story.
So wrong. That is so wrong.
Oh my God.
No.
Funny though.
God.
What if I was always like, oh, I like these ones better? Might keep them. All right.
His teeth taste funny.
Thanks for that, Jan. That's all we've got time for in the latest
Thank
edition of
goodness.
Extra Time. I know. Thanks for your questions, everybody. And we'll be back tomorrow. In fact, Dan will be back tomorrow.
Ah, it's
All
about
over
time.
again with
Of
stories from
swanning about.
Barcelona, no doubt.